There are three transitions, and they're going to affect everything. These are the three revolutions that are taking place. The last time we had a similar transition, we had 2 world wars. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come and speak to you. I've heard a lot about your institution. I spent some time in one of your competitors. It's an honor for me to be here. I've been asked to speak about global transition and how the world is changing. And also how one should act through that change, how one should think about acting through the turbulence that is obviously going to come. I heard in the introduction that I was a member of parliament until a few months ago. I don't think when I joined politics, 2004, I ever imagined what I see going on in our country. It was way outside anything that I had ever imagined. To be the first person to get a full criminal sentence on defamation, to get the maximum sentence and to be disqualified from parliament. I didn't imagine that something like this was possible. But then, I think it's actually given me a huge opportunity, probably much bigger than the opportunity I would have sitting in parliament. That's just the way politics works. I think the drama started really about 6 months ago. We were struggling. The entire opposition is struggling in India. Huge financial dominance, institutional capture. We were struggling to fight the democratic fight in our country. And we decided none of the systems were working. Democracy isn't just about an opposition party. It's about a set of institutions that support the opposition party. And those institutions were either captured, certainly weren't playing the role that they're supposed to play. And so we decided to do something quite strange. We just decided to walk across the country. And we never imagined for a second what would happen when we walked across the country. What would happen not just politically, not in terms of the type of response we got, but what would happen to us when we walked across our country. All of us. Started with about 125 people, and it fundamentally transformed the way we think about our country, about our people, about politics, about what is important. A lot of people ask me, what's the lesson you've learned from this? And for a long time, I couldn't quite say what it was. I couldn't answer. I'd say, I've picked up so much information overload, I can't really tell you what this has done. It was the most beautiful experience of my life, by far. It was very painful. I had a knee problem. It's one of those things you get up and you say, okay, we're going to walk 4,000 kilometers. So, at some level, it's a crazy thing to even conceptualize. And I thought that would be, I'm reasonably fit, I thought shouldn't be too difficult. I calculated in my mind, I said, well, what's it going to be? It's going to be 25 kilometers a day, no big deal. And then I had a knee problem. And then the whole thing, the way life works, everything just transformed itself. We met what I would best describe as the soul of our country. And very quickly, in a week, 10 days, a silence descended on us. We couldn't speak. We went from trying to explain things to people. This is why agriculture isn't working. This is how you should think about education. This is how, the healthcare system should look. This is what, we should be doing. And suddenly we all went silent. And we went silent because we came into contact with an intelligence that we had never seen, that we had never even conceptualized could exist. Farmers who many people would say, don't have an education, and then who are explaining things to us in a way that we just are in stunned silence. Right? And we saw this with farmers, with laborers, with small businessmen, everybody. And so this silence descended on us. And we just sort of stopped talking and started listening. And we heard tales of immense suffering. I mean, I can think immediately, I thought about one which sort of, to me, embodied the spirit of my country, our country. I was walking, and a young man came and started walking with me. And I put my arm on his shoulder, and suddenly I realized he didn't have arms. So he had no arms. And I tried to sort of make him a bit comfortable, didn't want him to feel that I know you don't have arms. He wasn't too bothered. And we started talking, and I asked him, listen, what do you do? And he looked at me and he said, I'm a mechanic. The immediate thing in my mind was, he's lying. How can he be a mechanic? He doesn't have arms. It's impossible. So I said, well, I didn't want to be direct. I didn't want to say, you're lying. I said, listen, what cars do you repair? He says, I don't repair cars, I repair motorcycles. So I said, oh yeah, what motorcycle do you repair? And he started listing all the motorcycles. So I said, can I come and see what you do? And he said, yeah. And then he proceeded to take us and show us how he serviced a motorcycle with his feet. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. He took apart the entire engine with his feet. And he put the entire engine back together with his feet. I can't do it with my hands. So we saw these type of things happening. And we saw clearly the disconnect between our politics and our people. And that disconnect is visible in the United States, it's visible in the rest of the world. There's a huge divide between the people and the politics. Politics is talking about something else, people are talking about something else. We experienced this multiple times. And as I was walking through this, I kept thinking, something puzzled me. What I couldn't understand is that while we were walking, we had no force. Force was completely on the other side. The other side had police, they had the institutions, they had the media, they had social media, they had everything. And here was this group of people. In a few weeks, it became thousands and then millions, just walking. And all the force at the disposal of the government of India could do nothing. And the more they tried to apply force, the less it worked. And so this puzzled me. I was like, how come they have all the force, they have all the systems, and nothing's happening? Why, for example, are they just not physically stopping us? And this was a question that just kept rotating in my mind. I'm like, why is it that they have the force, but they don't have power? And I realized that force and power are two completely different things. Most people, politicians in particular, confuse force and power, and they think they're the same thing. They're not the same thing. They're completely different things. Power is an act of imagination. Power is in the present. It is not linear. And power comes when you go close to the truth. The reason we could not be stopped by force is because we were weaving around near the truth. And what was really interesting to me was it didn't matter how much force the other side had. They simply could not transfer that force into power. And they kept saying to us, people would ask us, so when are you going to stop? We're like, we're not going to stop, we're going all the way to Kashmir. No, you're not going to be able to go to Kashmir. They told me in Kashmir that, look, if you walk the last 4 days, you're going to get killed. They're going to throw hand grenades on you. I was like, fine, no problem, let them do it. Right? I want to see the person who throws a hand grenade on me. And the security guys, the people from the establishment there, I could see in their face that they just couldn't understand what I was saying. Right? So, this distinction in your life, in your work, is very important. It doesn't matter how much force the other person has. You can still have power. And it is determined by how close you are and how precise you are with regards to the truth. Now, you can see these moments. Mine was a very small one. You can see these moments of power versus truth in history. Big ones. Example, my leader, Mahatma Gandhi, fought the entire British Empire. He had no force. They had all the force, all the structures, the army, everything. Didn't matter. Right? The Declaration of Independence here in the United States, again, a moment of power, a moment of truth. Doesn't matter how much force the other person has. So why am I telling you this? Why am I making this distinction between power and force? And what does it have to do with the transition that we're facing? Well, the transition we're facing, there are three transitions. There is a revolution in mobility. There is a revolution in the energy system. And there's a revolution in connectivity, what we call AI and data. These are the three revolutions that are taking place. and they're going to affect everything. The last time we had a similar transition, a transition of energy, a transition of mobility, we had 2 world wars, right? And it's in times like that, of great uncertainty, of turbulence, that you need acts of imagination. While I was coming here to Stanford University, I was thinking about it. All the work that you do, a lot of the work that you do, robotics, AI, where was the moment of power? The moment of power was when President Kennedy said, let's go to the moon, right? That was not an act of force. That was an act of imagination. And from that, a lot of the work you do has emerged, evolved. And that's the type of relationship the United States and India should be thinking about. A relationship that's based on the true reality of our people. We know in India a lot about the reality of our people. All of you know, you live in our great country. You know the levels of poverty that we have. You also know the amazing amount of skills that we have. The United States has the world's cutting-edge technology. And we already have a bridge between us. It's important that this bridge is not simply a bridge based on force, but it's a bridge based on the reality of our people, on an understanding of the realities of both our people. India has some huge advantages. In a data-centric world, we have one of the largest pools of data. You over here are testament, many of you, to our skill in technology, in software. There are many more young people like you back home who don't have the opportunity you've had, who could augment our capability. So that's what I wanted to leave you with. I think there are difficult times, but there are also times of opportunity. I think there are times when acts of imagination, as I called it, acts of true power, will resonate and can transform the way we think of ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Shabnam.
First of all, Kangna, I'd like to take you back to your childhood. Tell me about your story. What were your expectations growing up as a young girl in your family, in your village?
Well, the thing is, in India, it's a matter of fact that a girl child is seen as a liability, and probably the only expectation is that you grow up to be a presentable young woman who can get a decent spouse. That's not much of an expectation, but yeah.
So what were you like as a child?
Pain, I'd say. I wasn't a child that an Indian parent would like to have. I was quite rebellious. And I didn't see myself as I guess my family saw. I didn't see myself as a liability. I didn't see myself as someone who is, whose purpose of life is just to find a good enough husband who can take care of her. I saw myself as much more than that.
You said rebellious. What kind of things did you do as a child?
I think I was quite confident of myself, and I had a mind of my own. I liked the fact that my father had a lot of expectations from my brother, and I probably wanted to be that person who he could be proud of and who could, who could be her own hero. So, yeah, that led to many incidences, including my running away from my house, I guess.
Before we come to that, just wanted to ask you a little bit more about your family. Was it a very traditional family? Was there a lot of, the male members of your family, were they treated with favoritism?
Yes, I won't say it was an exceptional Indian family. That is pretty much how it is everywhere, where, you grow up in a very, very protective environment, which can sometimes lead to a little bit of suffocation also. It can just be a little too protective sometimes.
Were your family sort of like, they had favoritism towards your brother?
Yeah, like I said, in India, a girl child is seen as a liability, so naturally a girl child isn't that celebrated for sure.
So what eventually pushed you to leaving home?
Like I said, that quest, that understanding of your own self, that confidence that you carry in yourself, that you're a lot more than people think you are, and you want to prove that, and you want to find yourself, and you want to be a lot more than you're believed that you are. So probably that quest.
It can't have been easy though.
Yes, I've struggled for 10 years. Yeah, that's quite long.
What was the opposition like then when you made that decision to leave home?
Well, my parents gave me an easy option that if you are gonna, go your way, so there's the highway, and you can probably expect no funds and no support, which I think was legitimate, because, I think that was a fair option.
Was there one particular incident that led to you leaving home? Your father was quite angry with you.
Yes, I think I left. I just refused to go to school, and I'm like, I can't do science. I don't want to be a doctor. And he's like, then what would you be? And I'm like, I don't know. So he's like, don't you think you should? I said, give me a year and I would find out. And he's like, I have no money to spend on these sort of hobbies of yours. And I'm like, sounds fair.
So you left home,
yes,
and you went to a big city like Mumbai. Mm-hmm. What was that like when you first arrived there?
No fairy dream or story, nothing like that. It was quite harsh. And, I was nothing like I am today. I couldn't speak a word of English. And in England, people might be understanding of that, but in Bombay, they're not very forgiving. If you don't speak English, how do you expect to work in Hindi films? Well, that was an obstacle, I'd say.
You overcame that obstacle, but you overcame many obstacles because it wasn't easy to establish yourself. What did you want to do the minute that you arrived in Mumbai? Did you think, I want to be an actress? Or did you have to go through various stages like, modeling?
Oh, yes, various stages, various auditions. I ended up sleeping on the pavements, and I didn't have food to eat. And my father would call, he's like, so did you learn your lesson? I'm like, no, you better get ready to learn yours. So it took way too long, and I think for him to learn his lesson 10 years, he's like, okay, fine. But I think I finally made my point clear. But yes, it was just one of those ordinary struggling stories where you're, there's a string of incidences or accidents, one after the other, one worse than the other, and then you're like, am I in a bad dream, or it's just... so, yeah.
You're known for being very honest and very outspoken to the media. You're a great role model for the modern, independent Indian woman who goes against the traditional norms. How important is that for you?
Well, honestly, I really don't know how to be any other way. I mean, I find a lot of pride in being who I am, and that was the case from my childhood. Like I said, my parents saw me as someone else. They saw me as someone who was a liability, but that didn't change my understanding of my abilities and myself. And when I came to Mumbai, they saw me as this village woman who had a weird accent and weirder appearance, I guess. But I didn't see myself like that. I thought of myself a lot more than just, I am a lot more than my appearance or my age or my color or my hair. And that is how I saw myself, and it'll never change. And why would I want to hide that? I let that be there. You know, for people, sometimes they find it too much, sometimes they like it. I mean, that's just the way I am.
What are expectations for girls now compared to when you were growing up? And that wasn't a very long time ago, was it?
I think times have changed a little bit, not much. This generation isn't as bad as our generation, you know, when I was growing up. But I'd say in India, we have a lot of work to do, and we need a lot more role models which young women can follow and parents can follow, where they have people they would like to, you know, get inspired with their stories and their journeys. But definitely with literacy rate going higher, with the women actively participating in the progress of the nation, working and stepping out of the houses, things have changed, and there's a lot of confidence that has come in, but we're still nowhere close to the developed nations, for sure.
So things have changed a little bit. Do you think the focus is shifting away from marriage, say, and are girls able to focus on careers?
I won't say that. I mean, being in my place, who's a successful actress, and you know, and working in an urban India, whatever you may call it, where I'm taking my job and at my workplace is just taken as a hobby. You know, I come across people who like, what do you need money for? And I'm like, why are you making a movie? So I can see the challenges which rest of the women must be going through, you know, and I know of my friends who are married, and every time they get married, their husband's job is the priority, you know, so sometimes they have to even quit their jobs just because they have to prioritize their husband's work situations and maybe problems.
Do you think it's particularly worse in your industry because there is this perception that in the Bollywood film industry, women are taken for their looks rather than talent?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to admit it, but it is. I'll get bashed there. You know, she went there and she said that. But it is true that they do objectify women. Bollywood films do objectify women, and not all of them, some of them at least.
Sexism and misogyny against women is an issue that all patriarchal societies have to deal with.
Yes.
And this is particularly close to you because it was reported that your sister was the victim of an acid attack.
Right.
What can be done to combat this widespread gender crime?
I don't know. I think I can just go on about it. But we first of all, as society, as people, try to single out India. That is the problem everywhere, where you know, feminine as an emotion, feminine as a quality, it could be kindness, compassion, is seen as a weakness, where it is not. You know, it's just not women. It is just not restricted to women, even to children, to men who tend to display these emotions. They are seen as weaker beings, you know, and that is not the fact. We need to change that mentality. We need to respect the feminine as an emotion and not try and suppress and crush it, but to love and to value it. And the history is witness that in the past, if anything that could conquer the darkest and the deepest corners of a human soul, that has been feminine. It has been compassion, love, and that is the only way to penetrate the darkness, light, not anger or you know, one of your very aggressive emotions. So the tendency of human beings to see feminine as a weaker emotion, that is what has to be changed. So when you see a beautiful woman and you can't acquire her, you want to destroy her. You know, so that needs to be changed. And like I said, it's not just a women problem, it is a problem of the world.
Can Bollywood help in that?
Yes, I think cinema is a beautiful medium. It reaches out to millions of people. Through films, we can give ideas out there. We can implant ideas in people's brains or mindsets, which can grow into significant things, and which can bring about significant changes.
Because of what you've been through, and you've stood up for yourself, what are your thoughts about what happened to Jyoti Singh, the 23-year-old medical student who was raped and killed on a bus in Delhi?
Well, the thing is, a lot has been spoken about that, and a criminal is a criminal. A criminal doesn't have a religion or a nationality, do they? They're not even humans. They're not even entitled to be humans. So if you see, their tendencies, they probably would fit in animal kingdom, and animals don't have religions. So why to be criminals as people who belong to a certain, race or creed or religion? No, they don't have. They're not even humans. So there should be strict laws for animals like that, and they should be behind the bars and not left in the open like that to damage humans, I guess.
That particular case received a lot of attention around the world. Do you think things have changed for women?
Things have changed for women.
Have things changed for women since then? Is it safer for women to go out there?
How do you guarantee that, how can you guarantee something like that? I mean, I wouldn't say that anyone can guarantee that sort of, though I would love to live in a perfect world like that, but we can only hope and try, and our sincere endeavors could hopefully lead us there. But it would be absolutely wrong if we tell our children that, okay, now we think it's completely a crime-proof world that we are a part of, and now go out and do what you like. I don't think that's achievable. Probably in my little understanding of the matters, I think that's a little impractical to hope, yeah.
But there are a lot of women in India that are reluctant to report crimes like that.
Yeah, I think that is the sad part, that as a woman you feel responsible and you're held responsible for an incident like that. And again, that comes from the fact that your birth as a girl child is not celebrated. If it's not a tragedy to a family, it's definitely a setback. So when you start from a point like that, it's very hard to find pride in your own self, confidence in your own being and in your own actions. So probably everything that you do is wrong. So even if you get teased or you get molested, was your fault and you were wrong. So I think that mentality has to change, just so that these people can report and they can identify the animals we just spoke about, because they roam around everywhere. And it's not just in, not in every class. The crimes happen in all classes,
Coming back to Bollywood, what is the future for female actresses? Are they going to be taken seriously?
They're going to be taken seriously. Well, I don't think we need anyone's approval about, what we do as actresses. I feel it's a lot more important for women to accept themselves as opposed to others accepting them. You can't be hoping to get others' approval on what you do. When I work in a film, I'm not seeking anyone's approval, so, because they always start as, and I'm like, yeah, it is good, it's good, and they're like, yeah, it is good. So you got to be confident of who you are, and you can't really always, because others' opinion of you will always shift. Their perspective will keep changing. Like I said, when I started out, they dismissed me like a nobody. And today I am who I am because my understanding of myself never changed. So as women, we don't have to hope that we get our due. We need to get up and get it ourselves. Thank you.
I went to the bathroom and I cried. And I looked at myself in the mirror said, this level of cricket is not for you. You know, you're not good enough to do all this.
Let's introduce the batting master of the world, Sachin Tendulkar. Well, let's share a few stories, I reckon. Why don't we start right at the beginning?
Well, school cricket was exciting, and the reason to start playing cricket was a strange one. I mean, I was a notorious child, difficult to manage, and I took a lot of pride in that. One of the evenings, they were showing a famous Bollywood film on a TV channel, and in those days, there were not many channels back home in India. So we friends thought this is the best time to polish off all the mangoes from the tree, which we were not meant to. And we fell down. We also brought the tree down with us. And that was a turning point of my career, because my brother and my family, the rest of the family members said, this is enough, and then you're not allowing more of these complaints to come home every evening, because that was supposed to be my summer vacations, beginning of my summer vacations. And I said that we're going to make you burn all your calories on a cricket field. You do what you want. You love cricket. You go out and play with the season ball. And that's how my career started. And gradually, I did not know. I mean, I was only 11 years old. I did not know what were the big tournaments, but the dream was there in front of me. I wanted to play for India, because as a 10-year-old, I had seen Kapil Dev lift that beautiful trophy at Lord's,
Wow.
1983 World Cup. So I had also joined the celebrations, not knowing the significance of winning the World Cup. So that's how my cricket started, and I always wanted to win the World Cup. That was the reason I started. And as the time went by, I started enjoying cricket, and I started realizing the challenges of cricket. And my coach was instrumental, and along with my brother, to my elder brother Ajit, to make me realize the importance of leading a disciplined life, a focused life, and to make me push harder. They found reasons, and even towards the end of my career, I followed that formula. If I scored runs, let the rest of the world talk about it. I think about the next game. And that, right from my school days, became an unwritten formula, an unwritten law at home, that we don't talk about last game, we talk about next game. And however many runs I scored, I wanted to go out and score more than that. So if I didn't score, I would have a restless night. If I scored runs, I would still have a restless night, thinking that how am I going to score more? And that's how it all happened. I mean, I normally don't discuss numbers, but this is something that I must share with all of you. Towards the end of my school cricket career, I'd already started playing first class cricket. And the last season, I can proudly say that I averaged 1,025, because I only got out once in the whole season. And my brother and my coach was instrumental in that, because every time I scored runs, none of them said, well played to me. And that's why in my farewell speech, I said to my coach that at least now you can take a chance by saying well done. There are no more matches in my career. But something that I lived for was appreciation from my coach and my brother, which never happened. I mean, and that was something which sort of kept me giving my best all the time. And
I've asked around the room, and we will have a chance to ask some questions after we have our conversation here. Many people have said, a simple, easy question, what was the best innings ever?
the one in Perth, 1992, I was only 18 then, and that was a fast wicket. Everyone, I guess each and every Aussie know how fast the wicket is and kind of bounce it generates. So for someone who had never experienced that kind of pace and bounce, and Australia as usual was playing terrific cricket. So for me to go out there and score runs on that pitch was really important, and I can almost say the turning phase of my career, because after that I was not overconfident, but I was confident to play any attack in the world, and I felt I was ready to face any attack in the world. I was able to challenge many attacks after that in the world, but that one particular inning was the best inning, but the most meaningful innings, and something which has stayed with me now and it will stay with me forever, has to be the one that I played against England in Chennai in 2008. That was a time when Mumbai was hit by that terrible terrorist attack, and the one-day series was cancelled. England went off to Dubai, and they graciously came back to play the test series. And when we turned up in Chennai to play the first test, none of us were in the frame of mind to play test cricket, I mean, any form of cricket, because all we kept discussing was, how could this happen to our nation and why did it happen? It was the toughest phase of my career, and I would speak on the behalf of our team. It was really, really tough. And for first 3.5 days, we were completely out of ideas. We could not put up a competitive performance. And England gave us a target in the fourth innings of 375 runs, 374 runs. We were able to win that game. We chased 375 on a difficult track. But to see the entire nation celebrating that victory, even for a second, meant a lot to all of us. And I had played a significant role in that. So that is the most important innings of my life, more than even the other World Cup innings or other important innings that I've been part of. This had a different meaning altogether. So the Chennai match.
Well played. What about some of the characters that did bowl to you? I mean, we're talking about the very best fast bowlers in the world after the last quarter of a century. Why don't we just go through a few names? What about your first tour against Pakistan, and then maybe Donald and McGrath and Warren, who reckons even today, after you smashed him around in Sharjah, that he has nightmares of you hitting for 6? I mean,
the first test series was an important series, because I was only 16 and I did not know at that time what I was facing against. I mean, you talk about Imran Khan, world-class bowler, Wasim Akram, amazing,
right.
Absolutely super, all-time, one of the greatest bowlers to have played. Waqar Yunus, I would put him in the same league. Abdul Qadir, again in the same league. So it was a world-class attack, and I went out to bat in the first game, and straight from school cricket to one season of first-class cricket, and then to play against the best bowling attack in the world. I was clueless. I had no idea. I was getting beaten by the pace. I had never experienced someone bowl at 90-95 miles an hour, and I could actually see the ball, but while I was reacting, the ball was more towards the keeper and not closer to the keeper, rather than it should be closer to me. But and I said, oh, this is a wrong place, and you got in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I got out on 15. While walking back, I somehow controlled my tears. I was only 16 then, so I was allowed to do all that. I went to the bathroom and I cried, and I looked at myself in the mirror, Said, this level of cricket is not for you. You know, you're not good enough to do all this. And fortunately, I got about 6 days in between. So I ended up speaking to a lot of the senior players in the team, the coach, and they all said that, you know, you batted as if you were playing a school match. This is not a school match. You need to learn to give respect to these world-class bowlers, and you need to just hang around there, give yourself some time. And in the next match, I went out. I was just hoping that I get picked for the next game, which I was. And the next game, I decided not to look at the scoreboard. I said, the only time I'm looking in the direction of the scoreboard is to look at the clock, because I had decided my target was that I'm going to bat for half an hour, not worrying about runs. And after half an hour, you know, I got used to that pace, and I said, I can deal with this pace. You know, it's not easy, but it's not impossible. And that changed my thinking. I scored 59 in that test match. And from there on, I never doubted my ability. But the first match, I thought it was my first and the last one.
What about fear in that lot? You've been able to overcome a lot of pain during your career.
In fact, in the same series, in the fourth test match, we were in a bad position. In the second innings, we were 34 for 4 wickets down, and with a day and a half to go. So I got hit on my nose when I was batting on 1. Later on, I realized that I had broken my nose. Everyone gathered, and then, you know what happens when Pakistan team is around you. There are bound to be some comments, and Javed Miandad was a tricky customer, and he said, "You've broken your nose. You can't be batting here. You have to go to the hospital." Knowing that one batsman goes to the hospital, there again they start to dominate.
Yeah.
And the doctor came. I iced my nose and I put a bandage and I continued batting. But that was again, I scored 58 in that match, and I batted for 4 more hours after that, which sort of helped us draw the series, because Pakistan had the most wonderful attack in the world. They were expected to thrash us 4-0, and to draw the series was kind of a which I got to know through English guys. It was a moral victory for us. So I only learned that word towards the end of my career, but it means a lot. So it was kind of a moral victory for us, and we were able to draw. But I became fearless after that.
Look, I think an interesting question here would be, you've had your highs and your lows, and you've been absolutely magnificent right through. How does one get up off the deck when things aren't going well?
I would like to share one experience with you here. It's a funny story, but completely out of the box, which we hadn't tried, and it did wonders for our team. We were playing against New Zealand, and Chris Keynes was bowling. This was in India, in Mohali, so in your hometown. The ball was reverse swinging, and Chris Keynes was virtually beating us 2-3 times an over. I was batting with Rahul Dravid, so the main batters were batting. We'd like to believe that we were the main batters. And we were getting beaten, and we were sort of clueless because we couldn't see the shine. Sometimes the surfaces are such that it becomes a little difficult to figure out which side is the shiny side and which is the rough side. I expect all you guys to know what reverse swing is. Reverse swing is wherever the shiny side is, the ball starts to go in that direction. Even if the bowler wants the ball to go in the opposite direction, it will not go because of the imbalance and the surface of the ball. So Chris had started doing that, and I met with Rahul in the middle of the wicket, in the middle of the over. I said, I've got an idea. And he said, do you want to share it now or after the over? I said, I'll share with you after the over, but it can work. So Rahul said, okay, tell me now, what is your idea? I said to Rahul, I am closer to the bowler, And when he's walking back on the run-up, I need to stand here. When he's walking back onto his run-up, I would be watching him closely and I'd be watching the ball. Which side is the shiny side and which side is the rough side? So Rahul said, then what happens after that? I said, whichever side is the shiny side, I will hold the bat in that hand. If he's going to bowl an outswinger, the bat is going to be in my left hand. If he's bowling in swinger, the bat is in my right hand at the non-striker's end. So that's the only time in my career when the batsman is ready to face the ball. He's not watching the bowler, he's watching the bat in my hand. So he's
Very good.
So Rahul is watching me, and suddenly, you see a couple of cover drives being hit for boundaries, and on drives passing, piercing mid wicket and mid on, and Chris is like wondering. I mean, these guys were getting beaten a couple of times every over, and suddenly I'm giving away a couple of boundaries. There's definitely something wrong. So all the fielders were watching me because I was, watching Chris and not Rahul. And normally, no batsman stands facing the bowler. He would be like facing the other batter. And then I would quickly change the bat, and by then they had sort of figured out that there is something fishy. And Chris lost his momentum, he lost his rhythm, and he held the ball cross seam, and he bowled a ball, and instead of looking at Rahul or checking what has happened there, he looks at me and I said, "What have you got for this?" Chris didn't realize that I had also warned Rahul that if I don't know what is coming, I'm going to hold the bat in the middle. So that is how the story goes. So
I have this habit of carrying chips in colleges, so... Before we get going, I have a confession to make. I became an actor because I had a problem. I was an introvert. I'm the youngest of my family, and I was so pampered in my house that when I used to step out, I didn't know how to deal with people. So I gradually became this very shy, introvert kid who could not talk. Well, I still cannot talk. And I have this stage fright. So in case, so what I do generally as an actor is I hide behind all these fascinating characters, and then I'm confident. But like right now, as I'm not acting, so there are problems that I'll screw it up. So excuse me if I falter. Excuse me if I don't make sense. Excuse me if I get a panic attack right now. But I'll try my best.
We love you anyway!
Alright, I would love to share my journey with you, my learnings, and in case you decide to drop out and join me in Bollywood, it will come very handy. So, I was thinking in the car, what do I talk about? What can I tell you that you already don't know? I'm assuming, and I think most probably, you guys are way much more smarter and better than what I was when I was your age. You already know about the cutthroat competition. You know the importance of hard work, perseverance, and vision, focus, self-belief, and etc., etc. So I don't need to talk about that. But after deep thinking, I zeroed down into two things that I can actually discuss about. These two things talk about chasing your dreams and actually living your dreams, which unfortunately nobody mentioned to me when I was starting out. And those two things are, can I write down? Can you see the boards? Alright. So those two things are the biggest lie and the only truth about success that I was told about. Now the biggest lie was money plus recognition is equal to happiness, is equal to success. So let me begin by mentioning that I come from a very middle class family. And when I was growing up, money was a big, big, big differentiator in my life. Also, in the 3 generations of my family that I know of that are documented, nobody knew what fame felt like. So basically, both money and recognition were missing when I started out. So I already started out as a failure. Let me be very precise. My family told me that I had to become an engineer. Medicals were booked for my sisters. Yeah. So once I'm an engineer, then I can, try civil services examination, and then probably, that will be like opening the doors for all kind of happiness, and I'll be forever successful. I'll be forever happy. This is the conditioning that I experienced when I was growing up. All right, fair enough. Good deal. So I became very good in studies. Did fairly well in my 10th board exams. And then off I went to Delhi for my +2, got myself enrolled in a nice school, and Vidyamandir and Fiji and half a dozen of other coaching institutes. And I used to share my room with 3 other similar aspirants. What it meant was, every day after finishing my assignments, school assignments, and preparing for my engineering entrance exam, I had to wash my clothes and I had to cook food for myself. But I wasn't complaining. Well, it was worth it, because after all, I was, for the very first time in my life, I was so close to become successful for the first time in my life. So yeah, finally I slogged, I got selected for several engineering colleges, and I decided to take admission in Delhi College of Engineering, which is now known as DTU. Thank you. Were you my senior or junior? So yeah, there was a celebration like this in my family too. I could finally stop for a while and breathe, I was telling myself that, you know what, now you have made it. You should be happy because you're supposed to be happy. But it wasn't working that much. Something was missing. There was a void that I could feel. So I thought maybe something bigger was required. For some reason, incessantly, while the first 18, 19 years of my life, the future me was much happier, much successful than the present me. So I was like, all right, fine. So I was forcing myself. As I promised, I started preparing for civil services examination, and I was forcing myself to slog, but I was bored. UPSC exams were still far away. In the meantime, I thought of doing theatre, and I thought to learn dance, because to counter the shyness that I still have, and also because there were no girls in my engineering college for some reason. I felt cheated, man. You slog so much, you crack the entrance exam, and you find that there are no girls. So, so somebody told me that there are very good-looking girls in dance schools. So I was like, fine, I'll go there. And once I started with performing arts, I knew one thing for sure. I knew that I quite liked it. And 3 years later, imagine me sitting in the campus, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm really interested in performing arts. And all I want to do is to earn money and to be recognized. So if I become a movie star, I actually was very serious, and I dropped out of my college in the 3rd year, when I was just 2 semesters away from getting the degree, engineering degree. Came to Mumbai, got heavily into theatre, and also other skills that I thought were necessary to become an actor. And by the way, this time I stayed with 6 other guys in a single-room kitchen. But this time I was prepared for it. This time, there was one difference. I was driven. My self-respect was at stake. My ex-college mates, one of them is sitting right here in black shirt, they thought that I was that disaster that folks in engineering and B schools should never become. So I had to prove a point to everybody. I had to prove a point to my family. Most importantly, I had to prove a point to myself. And this was the time when I was also a background dancer. So I was dancing behind all the possible stars that you can think of, Shah Rukh Khan, Shahid Kapoor, everybody. And I was thinking to myself while I was performing, okay, it's just 3 steps away, there I have to get. And everything will be sorted. And I kept going like that. And 2 years later, guess what? I got myself my first big break. I was selected for a primetime show on a TV. Now hear me out, it was seriously a big break. Because I started earning. People started recognizing me. To be honest, I would deliberately go and roles so that people could look at me, smile, ask for my photograph. And I was watching myself on TV for the first time. You have no idea how it feels for somebody like me to, I was looking at me and I was looking at myself every day on TV. It was a big, big, big high. I also suddenly discovered that I actually had many friends. I'm like, who were absent all this while, but suddenly they popped up. And the show became popular. I was making good money to a point that money stopped being a differentiator in my life. And I was becoming more and more popular. Now I cannot go to all those malls that I was going all alone. So I wanted somebody to be with me, to save me. So you know what I'm saying? I bought myself my first dream house. I bought myself my dream car. And just a note to you as well. I was getting such female attention that my engineering college friends could only possibly dream of. So I was having a time of my life. And then something unusual happened. I got used to everything. And I felt cheated. I stayed with all these dreams for 10 and 15 years of my life. I was promised happiness and I was promised success. But all these things stayed with me just for a few days. And I'm punctuating me because I started from zero money and zero recognition. So I was not happy. How can that it be? I didn't like this version of success. And the future me again was luring the present me. But this time, I decided otherwise. I would do something else. So that gets us to the second point, which is the only truth. I won't take too much time, I'll just try to keep it short. I figured something. I figured that something, seemingly big things, were not that big once I got them. And looking back in the past, I realized that maybe smaller things were way bigger. And there was one thing that was missing in my life that was the cause of this illusion. And that thing that was missing was now. I was, all these years, I was obsessed about what's gonna happen. I used to draw those flowcharts that we are taught in schools. And if this happens, I'll do that, and 6 months from now, I'll be here. So I wanted to be in control. I was so obsessed about my future. I was taking the entire responsibility about the past, but all I was doing was frequently swinging from past to future, not living in actual sense. Well, I also figured that when I perform on stage or in front of camera, I'm so much excited. I am so much interested. I was paying so much attention that there was no room to think about future or the past. I was just there, in the moment. I was alive in true sense when I was performing. And for the first time, trust me, in a long time, I understood the true meaning of success, which was not money plus recognition, but it was now plus excitement. So here I am right now, 5 years down the line. Money and fame, although still could not earn back their reputation in my life. But let me show you one thing. I have much more of them than I had ever planned. And the best thing, my college, one of the professors who is very dear to me called me recently about asking me to plan this interaction with students, and I very humbly requested that can I get my degree back. and it's happening, and I'm very excited again. Thank you so much, guys.
I am so happy to be here to see the I was extremely inspired by these words. Creativity means competition. Creativity and competition are two very important aspects in life. But as life grows on all of you, I hope you do realize that the only person that you need to compete with is really yourself. And creativity is going to help you when life throws hurdles at you. I'll get there, I'll come there. You know, I was a school topper once. And I loved getting trophies. I loved getting awards. And I learned the hard way that the greatest contest in life is not with others. It is with myself. And it took me so many years to remove that notion of competing with others and realize that every single day, if I do something to get better, to make myself better as a human being and to increase the skills of my craft, I am the most successful. I don't have to compete with anyone else. I will be the best version of me. This is what I have realized but it took me a long time to get here, and I don't want it to take so long for you to get to the place where I am. It really involves a balance of the heart and your brain, because your brain is constantly being told by the world around you, this is the way to success. Hustle culture, do 100 things, work really hard, only believe in success. I don't believe any of those things, to be honest. I think that the strongest and the champions among you will be the ones who are able to filter out the nonsense that people tell you about what success is and what achievement is. Filter out that nonsense, please. Because if you are ambitious, they'll say you are selfish. You are not. Be ambitious. If you maybe are not so ambitious and prefer to take it easy, to have fun, they'll say you're lazy and unmotivated. You are not that. You are what you want to be. Do not give that power to anybody else, please. That power is only with you. And you may succeed and you may fail. And I just want to tell you here, fail. Please fail. Because I didn't learn anything from success, trust me. I only got a little arrogant. Success taught me nothing. Failure taught me everything. Loss and failure will be your greatest teachers. Please go through it. Don't detach yourself from heartbreak. Don't detach yourself from pain. Don't detach yourself from failure, because they will be your greatest teachers. And the last thing, I know I'm kind of boring y'all. But I promise you, it took me really long to learn these things. The greatest relationship you will ever have in this lifetime is the relationship with yourself. Not your parents, not your boyfriend, not your girlfriend. The relationship you have with yourself. Because when you hit that low, that real low, and trust me, all of you will. I know you think right now exams is the biggest problem, but trust me, you're just getting started. And when you hit that lowest low, the only person who will be there for you is you. Be your best friend. That's all I gotta say. And I wish and pray that each one of you here is able to unleash your greatest potential. I wish you nothing but success and happiness and good health. Lots of love to you.
Namaste. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, all you beautiful ladies. It is an honor and absolute privilege to be here at the Global Women's Forum in Dubai 2024, a platform that since its inception has consistently championed the empowerment of women across all spheres of life. This summit is a shining example of what can be achieved when voices from diverse backgrounds come together with a shared purpose to inspire change, foster equality, and create opportunities for women worldwide. Let us begin by applauding the commendable work that the summit has accomplished over the years, from driving critical conversations to initiating impactful collaborations. The Global Summit for Women has been instrumental in reshaping narratives and amplifying the voices of women in leadership, entrepreneurship, and community development. This gathering is more than just an event. It is a legacy of empowerment, one that continues to grow stronger with each passing year. Allow me to take a moment to acknowledge and applaud the distinguished panel of speakers that you all have had the privilege of giving audience to. Their insights and experiences have reminded us of the power of partnerships, innovations, determination, and resilience. Whether you're leading international organizations, driving policy changes, or innovating in your respective fields, each one of you is paving the way for a more inclusive and equitable future. To everyone listening, you too serve a source of inspiration, representing the change makers of today and tomorrow, transforming discussions into meaningful action. When individuals from diverse cultures, industries, and walks of life come together, we not only amplify each other's insights, but also create a force of change, that which is unstoppable, a testament to the power of collective action. Today, I have been requested to speak on my advocacy for social causes and the transformative power of philanthropy. Life is a blessing, one that is meant to be shared. That is something that I've always tried to live by, the essence of my journey, both personally and professionally. And it is this belief that transcends individual success, to give back to society, to advocate for those without a voice, and to make meaningful, significant differences for people in need. From the earliest days of my career, I recognized the infinite potential of belonging to a global platform, a blessing that I have had the privilege of experiencing, all thanks to the unconditional love, support, encouragement, and blessings of my audience. And it is that very audience that has given me the conviction to recognize that this platform could contribute and potentially bring meaningful change, inspiring to lend voice to causes that needed further acceleration for their incredible ongoing work. The encouraging response to my giving voice to the dedicated work done by the Eye Bank Association of India showed how one could transform the lives in the simplest effective way. An individual's decision to give the gift of eyesight once they have passed on could illuminate another's life forever. Simple, effective, transformative. Another deadly disease, becoming too common for comfort, cancer, remains an ongoing battle for an alarming number of human beings at this point in time in the world. My commitment to working with the Cancer Patients Aid Association spans many years, and I continue working with them to spread awareness, provide support, raise aid, donations, funds, and bring hope to countless individuals and families battling this devastating disease. Cancer became deeply personal too, and personal experiences strengthened resolve with greater impetus and determination. Cancer is a growing global health crisis, and the numbers are staggering. In the last 5 years alone, the incidence of cancer has risen alarmingly, with reports indicating a 20 to 30% increase globally. As recently as 2022, nearly 20 million new cases were diagnosed, and cancer now accounts for almost 10 million deaths annually. Closer to home in India, over 1.4 million new cases are reported every year, and projections suggest that even a sharper rise is expected by 2030, a stark reminder of how colossal this battle is. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent real lives, families, and stories of struggle. They remind us of how much more needs to be done. I remain committed to this cause, joining hands with organizations like CPAA and many others who tirelessly work to bring light into the lives of those fighting cancer. Together, I believe we can bring aid, hope, and healing. Another cause extremely close to my heart is my association with Smile Train, a global organization that provides free cleft surgeries for children. The work Smile Train does is transformative, not just for the children who undergo surgery, but also for their families. For a child born with a cleft lip or palate, it can mean the difference between a life filled with stigma or one filled with opportunities. I am deeply grateful to Smile Train for honoring my late father by celebrating his birthday on the 20th of November every year as the Day of Smiles, and knowing that his legacy now lives through the smiles of children all over the world is truly a blessing. Thank you so much. You're so great.
I am immensely proud to be here tonight as a representative of my country, a country that has built both me and my career. India is a country that at its core values diversity above anything else, and it's a song that I hope to sing all over the world. Good evening. Thank you, Time, for this honor. Honestly, to be awarded here tonight among some of the finest people in the world feels wonderfully overwhelming. I also feel a tiny bit of pressure, pressure to say something intelligent, to be good and really make an impact. I've been thinking a lot about what it means to make an impact, and I've been wondering whether if, when I started out, I did so with the intention of making an impact. And the answer is yes. I mean, I think 10 years ago when I started working, all I thought about was how I would one day take over the world. How everyone, everywhere would know who I am and how hardworking and talented and intelligent and bright and flawless I am. Really, I wanted to be perfect and I wanted the world to know it. 10 years later, I'm receiving one of the most prestigious awards on this global platform. And I have no idea how I got here or what I've done to deserve this. But what I do know is, if it falls to me in any way to lead by example, be a role model, or make any kind of impact, I want to do it in as human and as flawed a way as possible. Because after all these years, the thing I've realized is that it's the flaws that make you. Perfection is boring, like really boring. So, tonight, I want to take a moment with you all to celebrate my flaws, along with my strengths. For example, I'm terrible at spelling, like really bad. But I do know what to say to someone who's vulnerable. I have no sense of geography, zero, and I do not get directions. But I have a deep sense of respect and regard for different cultures. My general knowledge is widely known to be weak, but my emotional intelligence is something that I've worked really hard to cultivate. I have a tendency to be hard on myself with regards to my weight and my appearance, but I never say no to a French fry. Because, YOLO. Through my movies and my characters, I've tried to celebrate flawed people because at the end of the day, it's the imperfections that make a character compelling. So what I'm trying to say is, being yourself is truly the greatest impact that you can make. In the movies and in life, you do not have to be perfect. You just have to bring everything you have, the lows, the highs, and the real things that we're actually afraid of speaking about. There is no greater impact than being yourself. I want to end with a few thank yous. Thank you to you all for patiently listening to me. Thank you to my team for constantly being there for me. Thank you to my family, my mum for bringing me onto this planet, my father, my sister Shaheen who has helped put my thoughts into words, my husband Ranbir. I mean, I don't know what, I need to give them separate award to genuinely put up with me on a daily basis. I am immensely proud to be here tonight as a representative of my country, a country that has built both me and my career. India is a country that at its core values diversity above anything else, and it's a song that I hope to sing all over the world. And lastly, when it comes to making an impact, I hope I can continue to do so in whatever way possible. But for now, tonight, this award has genuinely made an impact on me and my little one who has relentlessly kicked me through this speech. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You come from a film family and have achieved everything at such a young age. Today, at 24, is it too good too soon as a phenomena, you think?
I have to say that whenever people ask me about my achievements, Karan, about how you're doing so well, how do you feel, you're doing this, you're doing that, to me, I'm just doing. I have no idea of how well I'm doing and what that means for me and whether this is too good too soon or whether I'm going to burn out. I think that if I sit back and assess every step I take, then I'm going to be taking myself way too seriously. All I want to do is give a lot of heart into all my performances, into every character that I play. And I want to be remembered for the movies that I'm a part of and the characters that I play, because that's the kind of impact movies had on me as a child. So I want to be I want to be that impact on the younger generation and the older generation and everybody. So yeah, I never look at myself as a third person. I'm just going with the flow, as they say. So I think definitely initially I was very vulnerable, and I was also very hungry to prove and make a point. And I want to say with age, but I don't think I should say that since I'm 24. But maybe with experience, and just as you said, I've been working since I'm 17. But in the last 2 years, there just came a bit of a realization to me, and that is the only constant in life is change. So today, I may be getting a lot of love, tomorrow I won't, maybe. Today, I may be getting a lot of hate, tomorrow I won't, maybe. So some things are, are like, some days you may wake up and say that, okay, I wish I'm being better at this, or I have a better, I had better diction, I had better this. I can always talk about what I don't have and what what I can do better. But instead of whining about how they're comparing me to people, I can just better it.
Right.
And I can just try to be the better version of myself.
Yeah.
So definitely I'm super detached from my work, and I don't want to get too attached to even the person that I am today. When people come up to me and say, you're so inspiring and all of those things, and what I do for other people, I feel really happy, I feel grateful. I take a moment to remember that, okay, this is what you really work for, to make an impact. But then that instantly I just like snap out of it, and I just tell myself that this is not going to be there tomorrow.
And as a young Indian woman, Alia, is there a sense of responsibility you have to your country, to other women who are inspired by you, to younger girls, who feel like you are their role model? How much of that ethos really creeps into your thoughts when you take on a film or are on a public platform? How much of that are you conscious of?
So when I take on a film, I don't keep the audience in mind, and I don't think I should as well, because then that would make my decisions very calculated and very boring. I go with my gut and I go with my heart. I like to promote the idea of people can make mistakes. That is okay. And as a celebrity, I'm still a human being. I know what I do, and I really am not embarrassed of that, because if I don't say, I don't know, how am I going to know? Like, if I don't ask the questions, how am I going to get the answers? Up until a particular time, I was constantly scared. And that was the time before I had failed. I've done 10 films, and usme se one has been not a good film, and it did not do well. Until that time, I was always really scared, very passionate, very like obsessive. The minute that happened, it's like my father told me, I became a mortal again. So when you touch success, you feel like you're immortal all of a sudden. And that could happen to anybody, which is why people are constantly telling me, please, keep your head on your shoulders, don't fly too high. And I was like, what are they saying? Why are they saying this? And then I realized that, okay, things can change, your films cannot do well, you cannot do well. And suddenly everything changed after that, and I was just brought back to ground zero. And everything after that is not, I would not say detached, like I'm not passionate about my work, and I don't feel like today if I don't have a good day at work, I'll come back home and I will be stressed out about it. I won't be happy, and I'll give 200% the next day. But I can say I'm quite objective of the work that I do, and I go with my gut and I try to play around. So if I overthink my steps, then it's like you're taking yourself too seriously, and that'll show on screen. Okay, she thinks she's a very good actor. But the minute I really, really believe in my part and my character, that just gives me that kind of ease to play with it and just have fun with it.